To Jim Holder, the Editorial Director of What Car and Autocar. Jim, good to see you. Well, 1 in 5 cars sold in 2023 will be electric then. Well, it's a revolution, Jim, but an uneven one, with new petrol and diesel still in the mix, clearly, for new buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crucial to remember that petrol is still taking the majority of new car sales at the moment. But that is changing, and as you say, it's changing at a different pace around the world. China is absolutely leading this charge, and there has been a notable softening of demand for electric vehicles in Europe and in the USA, particularly in light of the cost of living crisis over here. And that, I think, is where the risk really lies. Can we keep up the momentum? And can that sort of hockey stick graph of growth of EV uptake be maintained in the face of all these challenges?
Tesla has been aggressively cutting prices. Now a number of other car brands are either joining or considering joining the price war. What's that going to do? How's that going to affect the wider industry?
Yeah, I think it's the worst case scenario for the wider industry. I think Tesla and Elon Musk are playing a dangerous but canny game. The risk to them is that they undermine both the brand strength of Tesla and their residual values of their vehicles by keeping on taking price off the new vehicles. But for the other manufacturers, they have to respond. They have to find ways of discounting their vehicles to make them look competitive against Tesla. And of course, that's going to erode profit margins. And those profit margins are what are meant to be paying for the transition to electric vehicles. So that push down by Tesla really is putting the pressure on the mainstream car makers, where once it was just challenging the luxury and premium ones.
I take your point about this being bad news if you've already been stuck with buying an overpriced Tesla, but presumably this is rather good news for people who haven't quite bought an EV yet.
Absolutely. EVs are typically around 10 to 20% more expensive than the equivalent combustion engine car today, but this pressure is only going to help the consumer. We foresee through our data that in the second half of this year, there are going to be some significant discounts available on EVs, and the manufacturers are going to be under enormous pressure. They have quotas in some markets that they have to reach for electric vehicle sales, and they are only going to be able to achieve that by offering consumers better offers. So absolutely, it could become more of a buyer's market in very short order.
The United States and the EU have both announced their plans to develop clean energy and increase their investment in green tech and green industries. Is that going to have a spillover effect into EVs and the EV industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it already is. I think at the core of this point is the fact that EVs are only as clean as the energy that's put into them, and the way that energy is created is critical, of course, to that equation. But I think also you can see among some of these incentives and these bills, particularly in the United States, that there are incentives to buy electric vehicles, particularly home-built ones, becoming available, and they run to thousands of dollars in that case. So, of course, again, that's going to help people make the switch and make the transition, and will swing purchase decisions.
Jim, good to see you. Thanks for coming on the programme again. Jim Holder, Editorial Director of What Car and Autocar.